How's it going actually? This is me, Vicidus, about to show you some creative stuff. For my previous video, I had said some stuff. Now you know that there's this guy doing it, as you can tell. I am that guy for doing that, so yes. Let me check on something. Aha, alas, testing. Now we're gonna start creating the 3D modeling arts. As you see it, there. See that program there? I'm going to show you what I actually did as a 3D artist. Or you can call me an art guru when I know these specializations in that sense. It's time for you to do it. Now check on what I'm doing in that sense. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to create general. See this cube, right? You know how I'm moving it? I'm moving it using the Alt key and the left key. The Alt and left key is essentially rotating it, making it look all around like a camera. I'm making the camera move around like this. Alt and middle click is, in camera terms, panning. Panning is you move it, but you're only moving it on one of the axes themselves. And Alt and right click is you zooming in. These are essentially my configurations from Blender. So by doing that, you have the full control over the system in a very distinctual sense. Show you some of the settings that I actually used. Remember the option tools? The object mode for the option tools are just you explaining, or me showing that you can move things in a very basic sense. Now, to actually do anything with it, you have to go into edit mode. Do you see the button there? That is edit mode in that sense. So let me try and increase the thing. So I'm going to take this here, like that, and I'm going to do this here. So you're starting to see what I'm doing. So you see here on the date here, I'm actually creating the scenario. Now you go to edit mode. Now you got full control over what you're designing. You know what I can do? The first step to using these tools is to understand what these tools are actually asking in that sense. A very beginner guy would be using these tools basically by clicking on it, like loop cuts. Because loop cuts themselves actually allows the mesh to have more detail in that sense. Like that, everything else, right? So you do this, you go into face here, you click on these things, and then you can click on these. As you can tell, I'm just doing very specific design concepts as I'm doing it. Now check this out. I, in this case, will be inserting a face. That will give these faces to look at. Check this out. I'm going to Control E, and Control E is essentially extruding through normals or individuals. Individuals does this. You do it by a normal, same thing. But if I were to try and do it by individuals, for example, if I try and get these faces and I do extrude by individuals themselves, look what it does. So now what happen if I were to do this again and just doing it like this? This is going to give a better example. This will be individual based, but if you do it by normals, it does that because there's actually two faces actually being connected in that sense. When you do it along the normal is just the skin of the UV of the mesh itself. When you do it like this, it will essentially do it along the normals, along the vertices, and along the faces being shown. And if I were to do something like an individual, this will make it more separate, as you can tell. And I can do this, and separate. See this one here? Bevel. So when you do Control B, it goes into beveling mode. And see how it does something like that? It makes your shapes more angular, but more smoothed out. So, and now I'm going to show you this. What if I try using an edge, and I try and bevel that? It makes it clean and simple. And smooths out the spaces while looking at the other faces themselves. Just like that also. And like this here too, 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 this here I've shown you that you could modulate things just by using a pure shape in that sense. It's kind of like using Legos in that sense. Childish, right? Man, childish, like, yeah. But if you see it like this, right, or like that, here's something cool about this. You can essentially create different shapes, but you can also deform them depending on what you want. For example, if I were to create a edge loop like this, technically you can't because it's based on individual faces. See for this one too. If you separate them like this, and you separate them like this, you see what's going on here. The reason why it doesn't do it like this, the reason why the UVs are not allowing it to be even out like this, or maybe for this case even out like this, or actually even out like this. See how there's connected faces? It's because these two edges, or the two faces are being combined like that, are not separated normally as normals. They're separated as individuals. So it's not connected in that connected sense. So you try and do edge seams to create UVs for it, it won't really connect the same way. Unless you do it manually like this. You can create like that, you can create like this, just this, and this, and you can do it like this too. And then you can do edge and mark seam. Now, there's one way, that's one way to do it, right? So, but here's the other way. If you try and do this like that, this here, and here, and I can take that out, this here too. And I can do mark seam. Now I'm gonna Control A this, and we're gonna go to UV editing. You see, that's the whole map that allows you to texture and paint things. If I do this and then you unwrap and I try and do angle base, it's gonna do that in that sense. So that's one way to do it, right? But if I were to be smart enough, I'm not gonna do that, and I'm gonna actually fix the edge seams normally. Just like this, just like that, just like this, that, and that. Just like that, just like that, You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to find all the edges and separating them separately, one step at a time. Even this face too. Even this face also. This face also. And this face also as well. You see what I'm doing? So now I do this, I can actually do mark seam. Seaming is the act of making the edges that will disconnect the UV when it gets automated into the UV unwrapping tool. So Control A, and now to unwrap angle based. And now it looks like that. You see how it changes that whole thing there? See how it changes like that on the maps here? You see what's going on here? This is what I'm talking about. When you're creating edge seams like that, you are essentially creating the UV's dissection points, as in, think like origami. If you want to connect something out of it and you try to disconnect origami, you're essentially trying to make the faces to move out to make it to a simple plane. What you see on the UV on the side, on the left side, is that sense of origami, as in you place everything flat down. So you can see what's going on. You see that part there? That the reason why the edge there is because not all of it's been fully configured. So if I were to try and do this, I could technically create UV seams here, and just separate every single piece that I want to be separated in that sense. This is how you separate things when you want to. Seam. Different. You see how it organizes like that too? Very similar things can be changed depending on what you do. But in this case, we can choose this one for now. And that's just only one step on when you create a model or an asset. This is just like a test and then a practice to show that, yes, you can use these tools depending on how you do things and how you create things in the end. Especially objects, you do edit, image, okay. And then you can do this here too. Yeah. So yeah, overall that's today's session for today. It's supposed to be a 10-minute video, but it went to 11 minutes. But this is overall what you can expect from these video sessions I create. As in, this is what you guys are going to see on my side when I try and create videos like this. It's going to explain step by step and very deeper elements of what I create when I create characters. This is just the start. There's a lot more videos I can create that will explain what I'm going to session into. These videos are just essentially kind of like laid back and just styled up designs with that sophistication. So now you know. This is out. Thank you so much for hearing my awesome video. It's not really awesome. I have to do this because, you know, it's probably around time to explain what I know. If only some new. Rawr. Recording out.